Everyone, welcome to Nutrition for Thyroid Health. I am Tiffany Flayton, and today we're going to talk about the importance of protein and your thyroid function. So, what I often hear and what we often do is we usually put off eating protein at the dinner time meal. That's usually sort of the staple, and then we eat other foods around it. But oftentimes people go through the day just eating, maybe a protein bar, and I will use the word protein bar loosely as far as using the word protein. So we use those kind of bars or quick fixes, not very good quality things as you're driving to work, or maybe we just have a cup of coffee and don't really eat a meal. And then lunch oftentimes is pretty devoid of a good quality protein in any amount that's going to be beneficial to you. So the thyroid gland, as you know, especially if you have a dysfunction with your thyroid, is that it's so important because it controls everything in the body. It affects basically every cell in your body. And if you have low levels of protein, it has been shown to, in your consumption of your foods, it is something that causes issues with the thyroid hormone production. And the thyroid, like I said, affects every cell in the body. Therefore, if you are not getting the building blocks of whatever molecules or antibodies or whatever the cells are making, it's going to affect how your thyroid functions. So proteins are the building blocks of everything. They're made from amino acids, and then our body breaks those down and then uses those amino acids to make all the different things in our body, whether it's hormones or other proteins, like I mentioned, antibodies, and it helps to heal the body. And so if we are not getting enough protein in our diets, we can absolutely wreak havoc on our thyroid function. So I'm just going to talk to you today about my favorite and what I think are the best thyroid proteins or proteins for thyroid health. And it's things that I've been using for a long time. I've tried all kinds of different proteins, and there's a lot of things that people think are really good quality proteins. And I'm just wanting to get the information out there, because when you're dealing with a thyroid problem, there are lots of things to consider. You can't just go buy the cheapest thing on the shelf at the big box store, wherever you're at, because there might be a lot of other things in that product that are causing issues that you don't even really understand or know. And so I personally believe that there are two proteins that are the best type of proteins to enhance and improve and optimize that thyroid. We're going to be talking about optimizing your thyroid for the best health a lot now going forward. So that's what this has all been about, is optimizing that thyroid. But we need to think about that and really pay attention to your symptoms and pay attention to how you're behaving and acting and eating and exercising in order to correlate your symptoms with what you're doing so that it makes sense for you. So I'm going to talk about the proteins that I believe are the best for thyroid. So the first protein that I would like to talk about is something, I have a brand name that I like to use, but it is a protein that comes from beef that are super clean. They are grass-fed, grass-finished, no antibiotics, no hormones, anything like that. It's considered 97% pure beef, the way that it's produced, and it's free of common food allergies. So a lot of the things that, or I should say allergens, a lot of the things that people are reactive to are very common and used as fillers in a lot of different kinds of protein powders. So the things that I'm referring to are like corn, soy, rice, wheat, those types of things. This is not a part of this particular protein powder that I like to use and recommend. And it's good also for supporting gut health, because there are the collagen proteins within this protein that come from the animal, so the beef protein. And it's good for building muscle. It's good for your gut health. It's good for cartilage, ligaments, that connective tissue. And with thyroid patients, we often end up, especially if you are on that autoimmune spectrum with Hashimoto's, you are dealing with a lot of joint pain. And so it's really important to have the quality of proteins in, if you're going to use a protein powder, to make sure you're getting that in adequately every single day, to the level that you need. It's really important to make sure that's clean, and then it's actually not counterproductive to what you're trying to resolve. So if you are feeling pain and inflammation and fatigue and that kind of thing, and you're adding in a protein powder because you think it's the best thing to do, that you've purchased from who knows where, like I said, big box store, you might be getting all kinds of fillers and additives that are actually causing some of that inflammation, and it's going to not do a whole lot to improve those symptoms. So if you are doing that right now, that could be a part of what's going on if you're still having unresolved symptoms. Now, I'm going to talk about this at the end too, but I just wanted to touch on this because I get asked all the time, what's the best protein powder? And so that's why I'm speaking to protein powders first. The next one that I really like to use is more of a vegan source. I should say more of a vegan sourced. It is a vegan source protein. It is made from pea protein, and pea protein has a low reactivity for most people. There's really no issues with being sensitive to it, like other proteins, like I mentioned, the corn or the soy. Soy protein could cause a lot of problems for people, especially if you have a thyroid problem, as well as, some whey proteins. Whey protein can be super inflammatory. Everybody thinks about it for building muscle because it's big in the fitness industry and personal trainers recommend it. I see where it is very inflammatory for a lot of the people that I work with, and partially because it's, not dairy free, and a lot of people do struggle with dairy, but it is really, it triggers blood sugar surges and higher insulin as well. So that is another factor when dealing with thyroid issues. And so that's why I don't recommend whey protein, contrary to popular belief and the desire for people to want to use whey protein. I don't know why that is so much, but that is not something that I recommend. So this vegan protein that I recommend also has a very robust multivitamin and multimineral built right into it. It is really good for gut health. It helps the detoxification process, and it is anti-inflammatory. So the other one, the beef protein that I use too, is also good for inflammation because it does not have the allergens in it, but it doesn't have the nutrients specific for anti-inflammation, whereas the vegan protein actually does. So I will put the links to these products in the show notes so you can get to them, and you can see them in the comments below as well. And so if you have questions on anything specifically, just reach out, let me know, hello@tiffanyflayton.com. But I'm just going to show you these proteins. So the first one I mentioned was the pure Paleo protein. It's a bone broth protein. You've probably heard me talk about this before. It comes in unflavored, it comes in chocolate, and it comes in vanilla. So one thing you can tell by some of these, the quality of proteins that you might find on the shelves of the store, if they have all these crazy flavors, that is probably not a good quality protein if you're going just with that. But these have, no artificial sweeteners. There's no fructose. There's nothing that really causes anything that's inflammatory or that can impact you negatively. And that doesn't mean that everybody is going to be a good fit for every single protein, but that's what I would start with, is looking at the ones that are the cleanest possible. So this one, depending on the flavor you get, has between 21 grams and 27 grams of protein per serving. So that's a really good like breakfast or lunch, or you can do half of it for a snack, whatever you want to do to really get a good boost of protein into your diet. All right. So we don't want to rely just on these, but this is a really good way to get it in. People are looking for something quick and on the go. But this is where I would start with that. So the other one is, I don't know if you can really see that label much, but it's called Opticlens GHI. And what it is, this is kind of the full deal. This, like I said, is anti-inflammatory, gut health, detoxification, multivitamin, multimineral, has enzymes in for digestion. It's kind of got all of the things all in one spot, and it actually tastes really good. That's the other thing. Both of these have a really good texture. They assimilate well. I mostly blend these, and I just really like the flavor of these. So it really depends on what you're looking for. You can mix up the two. You could actually probably mix them together, 1 scoop of each or something like that. It doesn't really matter how you use it. It's just got really good, clean nutrition in it. So if you're looking at a giant tub from a big box store of protein and you have the nutrition panel, would you know what the nutrition panel looks like? If they have that, but then underneath it is like a laundry list or a paragraph full of other nutrients, run away from it. That is a sign that you're not getting a good quality protein. It should not have to have all those additives in it in order to be palatable, to be able to, have people want to drink them, because they are going to be full of things that are going to be causing and keeping you sick. Okay, they're not going to improve the symptoms that you're trying to get away from. So this one has 26 grams of protein per serving. And in this one, that's 2 scoops is a serving. So I will, like I said, put the links below so that you can access them and take a look at them if you want. I always will answer questions about them. So please comments below if you have questions about these. These are my 2 favorite based on all of the things that we talk about with regard to thyroid, with regard to inflammation and pain and brain fog and gut health and those types of things. All of those will be supported by using this type of protein. All right. So as much as I like protein powders, I don't believe that people should rely on protein powders for every meal for the rest of their life and that kind of thing. So if you want something that you're going to get a good breakfast in and you know that there's solid nutrition with it, then protein powders are awesome. And they can be really helpful and beneficial and help you get over the hump and improve your diet, improve your health. Okay. So they can be a tool to do that. But it's really important to make sure you're eating good quality protein throughout the day in the form of food. So I would say to start, if you are only eating that dinner protein, like we talked about at the beginning, then I really recommend that you work hard to add protein at another meal to start. So if that's in the form of a protein powder, that would be great. If you want to put a pause on protein powders and use real food, even better. So if you want to do that, with another meal, maybe start with breakfast, or maybe lunch is easier for you depending on your life and your job and your schedule. I would suggest starting with one more meal and making sure you're getting a good 4 to 6 ounces of protein in the animal form of protein to help with the thyroid symptoms and to make sure that you have the fuel and healthy insulin responses and that kind of thing throughout the day and help your satiety and help balance you out. So I say 4 to 6 ounces. You can kind of play with that as you go along. I would say on the higher end of the protein, that would be for maybe a taller man, someone who is, just a bigger person in general is going to need more protein. So you can kind of start there and pay attention to your body. Let your body kind of guide the way for you with regard to how much protein to take in at each meal. But if you ideally can get protein 3 times a day, good quality, 4 to 6 ounces, or, at least 20 to 25 grams per meal, and then maybe half of that if you have a snack, that would be really good and go a long way to improving the symptoms that you may be feeling, with maybe some irritability and headaches and lethargy, the fatigue, the joint pain, and that kind of thing. That will be improved as soon as you start eating protein on a regular basis. So I can't stress enough the importance of that. And like I said, people ask me all the time what proteins are best when you have a thyroid problem. And these are my 2 favorites as far as a protein powder supplement. But it is best if you can get into the habit, or at least know how you feel with eating protein in the food form, whole food form throughout the day. What does it help you do, after you eat breakfast? Does it make you feel better? Which it will if you aren't, especially if you aren't doing it now, but just really listening to that body and seeing how protein does affect you down the road throughout the day. So it's super important to do that. Your thyroid will be better optimized when you start eating more balanced like that. So, all right. If you have any questions, please reach out anytime. The links to these will be available to you. And there'll also be a coupon code for the beef protein as well. So, all right, I hope that helps a lot and answers your questions about protein and thyroid. And we'll be back later for another topic. All right, have a great night. Thanks.